So, welcome to P0intL3ader75 again. This time we're gonna take a little ride in my car. It's actually 20 minutes past 1 in the night, November 1st. We're gonna do a little ride and fill up the gas for the car a little bit, and then we are going to the cemetery. At least one of them. We're gonna have to see what it looks like. On the second one, it's a lot bigger, and it could be a little bit busy over there. So I'll have to see whether I can go ahead with my plans, filming it. I'll bring my camera, obviously, and then we'll get to see. But yeah, this is the garage where I live at. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to block out all the registrations. I need a key here to, sorry for the noise, but I need a key here to open the gate. There we go. Alright. So hopefully I can do this without any problem having folks being disturbed with my project, but this is part for my 4 Seasons of Sweden. It's going to be a film showing what Sweden is like during the 4 seasons in a year period. I'm going to highlight stuff like our occasions. Sorry for that. I'm going to show you a little bit what Sweden is all about, what differs Sweden from maybe, say, USA, when it comes to what we prefer to do during different celebration times and what not. So yeah. So first of all, we are going to go and get some gas for the car, because this is going to be a nice little ride. It's not very well lit. I'll see if I can. Yeah, you'll see if I'll be able to tune up the highlight a little bit, or the brightness somewhat. It's quite dark, especially when we do meet some other cars. So we're obviously not going to be alone on the road. But nevertheless, most people should be sleeping. It should only be the drunk ones and cab drivers. They are actually, in percentage, as many as we have in Stockholm. That is, the taxi cars in numbers are as many as they have per citizen in New York, which is a lot, considering Sweden only has 1 million in population, and that including the suburbs for the capital of Stockholm. So yeah, if you're wondering what car this is a Mercedes W169 model. It's a more common known term, a class, with a 1.7 liters engine, and it has avant-garde edition, so it's a little bit lowered, has a little bit tuning in it, and I would say that the former owner, I got this second hand, the former owner, he or she probably did something to the limit. So it actually has a much higher top speed than it's supposed to have. And here we have someone either drunk or not knowing his way around here. speed limit is 70 kilometers an hour here, and that is about, oh, I don't know, 50 is half to 100, of course, and 100 kilometers an hour is 60 miles an hour if you do the conversion yourself. I'm not going to do the math for you while driving. I should know, but like I said, I'm driving and I don't want to get stuck up on little details. I usually wouldn't have any issues knowing. So, yeah. Enough said of that. Yeah, so this is a suburb of Stockholm, about 5 minutes away from the capital of Sweden. It is part of the capital, but like I said, it's 5 minutes away, and it's part, you could say that you have two communities or suburbs, being the more suburb where the rich people tend to gather up or build their houses. This is one of them, not the number one, but it's definitely number two. We have a lot of celebrities and probably some of the celebrities you all guys know as well have some house nearby, like Eric Gadd, and I don't know who else, Dolph Lundgren. I'm not so sure. He's having a place pretty close though when he's in Sweden. But nevertheless, moving on. This is a bridge, pretty much 1 kilometer long. It's the only thing that connects all roads to the rest of Sweden and Stockholm, coming from Lidingö, where I live. And we are going to take it nice and slow here, because we don't want to get pulled over by the cops. And they should be out probably checking sobriety tests and stuff like that. So we want to keep it nice and slow. It's easy to drive too fast with this car because you do get kind of blinded of the speed. It's a little bit higher up above the ground, so you tend to misjudge the speed you're actually traveling in. We're going to take it nice and slow, and yeah, this is the end station where I'm at now, whereas you go by subway from downtown Stockholm. This is the last end station where you have to change to either a bus or the upcoming updated local train that's moving on out on Lidingö. So this is the place that I'm gonna fill up the gas tank at. It's a unmanned gas station, so it should be cool. And then we're gonna head on to another gas station. I need to buy something to light up the candles that I'm gonna light up on the cemetery. And yeah, you can see it's a little bit wet here, so end of take number 1 as I am pulling up next to the gas pump. Alright, sorry for that. Alright, having filled up some gas, we are taking a little tour in Stockholm, Sweden, right after I pulled up to the next gas station, open 24/7, and buy me a maybe something to drink and a Coke or something, and then maybe something to light up the candles with for the graves. So yeah, that's my plan anyway. Yeah. As always, the cord is a little too short for the microphone here. I'm gonna have to work out a way to somehow make it a little longer. I don't know, it's been a little bit stretched, hoping it won't affect the sound quality of this taping. We are now heading back over the bridge, being precisely 999 meters, pretty much 1 kilometer long. So the suburb where I live has about 50 to 60,000 inhabitants. It is probably one of the closer suburbs to Stockholm, but it's pretty much isolated by this bridge, so yeah, I wouldn't believe how many times I've had nightmares about the bridge having collapsed or something, you know, or a flooding or whatever, but you know, those kind of silly nightmares. I kind of guess it affected me somewhat, but yeah, like I said, those are silly nightmares. They don't belong. It makes no sense really, but that's the kind of nightmares I've had about the bridge. So yeah, I am doing not live commentary, but I am doing commentary as I drive, so hopefully it'll turn out pretty good. I'm gonna make a U-turn here behind this tractor and pull up in front of it because I need to make sure that we have what we need to buy whatever at the gas station. So I'm gonna pull up right behind the tractor and check my bank account. I'll be right back, folks. Alright, it's time to move on towards the cemetery, which should be pretty interesting. There are some youth out on parties, I suppose. Either they are heading out or they are coming back. I don't know. Regardless, please welcome aboard P0intL3ader75 ride along in Stockholm. So now we are going to take a little ride to the cemetery. It's not too far away. And we are keeping a modest 50 kilometers an hour. At a 50 kilometers an hour road, of course, we are maintaining our speed limit. So yeah, interesting notice. You're probably gonna see a lit Christmas tree over here. And yeah, not sure if you're gonna see it, but it is over to the right. Yeah, maybe I can somehow make a turn here, or yeah, I think I'm gonna do that just for the sake of the video. So this is going to be a little tour around Lidingö, where I live. Not all that, but it's going to be a little tour. We're making a little U-turn here so that you get to see the local Christmas tree. It's actually a tree that's been there all year round. Should be right in front of us. Right there. You're not seeing it. Oh well. Oh well. So yeah, it's a very small community, like living out in the country or the countryside. gonna make a left turn over here, and this is also gonna be a cemetery located where me and my wife got married. So it has a little bit of history in the family. And also to mention, my parents also got married there. I'm not sure whether my grandparents that we're going to visit got married there either, but regardless, that's where we're heading and moving along. Local police station to the left. And we have the center or downtown of Lidingö to our left. So we are passing somewhat close and nearby to it. And this is the road leading down to the church, the cemetery where we're heading. I hope you guys gonna like it. It's not gonna be a spooky documentary, but it's gonna show you a little bit of the nightlife during late fall in Stockholm, Sweden. I intended to do this for a long time, so I'm pretty excited about making this video. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the little intro. I was kind of mumbling a little bit. Still getting used to the fact having the camera filming me. And yeah, I look kind of tired on that video. But yeah, that was me that you saw on this film, of course. So we are now approaching the church where we are heading, and hopefully there won't be too many people there. I would suspect that most people aren't there, but you never know. So this is actually, like I mentioned, this is where I got married, and it's a little due over 3 years ago, which me and my wife had a little celebration. So yeah, now you get to see the church, the little church road that we're heading up to, and this is the church that we are going to visit. I'm going to take a little tour around it because the camera here is too low and you won't be able to see it properly. So we should have a pretty nice view of it later on. And we have a very beautiful lit cemetery, and this is precisely the reason why I intended to go here. Hoping people won't think that I am a burglar or something, but I'm going to park right next to the cemetery, right here, and bring the camera stand and everything and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, starting the recording now. So I am just about done with the first place. I'm going to correct the camera a little bit, so excuse me a little bit for that. But yeah, you guys need to see a little bit more of what I have in front of me, because it's going to get a little dark otherwise. There you go. So we'll see if the camera holds up. It's not the best mount, but it is a mount nevertheless, so that you guys get to see a little bit of Sweden, Stockholm during the night. But yeah, let's head on. I'm going to take a little night ride. Enjoy driving. I'm the kind of person who loves to drive a lot, and I have no problem driving at night. I think it's very nice. No traffic out there. Maybe the taxi cars or some wild animals crossing the road. But we are in no hurry. It is a little bit cold. Again, not having the math in front of me, but it's about 11 degrees Celsius. You can convert it, if you like, to get an idea of what it is in Fahrenheit. But it's not, I think it's 30 Fahrenheit, so it's 0 degrees. So this would be a little warmer than that. It's a little bit windy. It has a little bit of chill in the wind. I actually put on a sweater for being out sailing, so it kind of protects me a little bit from the wind, because I'm not wearing any coat or jacket or anything like that, because it kind of prohibits me from obstructs me a little bit from moving around with a camera stand and whatnot. So this is actually a reservate. About 50% of this suburb island is a reservate for birds and other animals. So they are not allowed to expand or build more on this island than they already have. So yeah, that's about it. We are facing taxis, nevertheless, at some roads here. It's pretty dark, and I'm trying to not drive too close to the right side. So we'll see if he thinks I was driving drunk or not. Usually during the day it's okay. So we're going to put on night light. Thinking that we should have made a turn there. So we're going to make a U-turn here somewhere. We should have made a turn to the left. So dark here that you're not able to see. It's completely different, pitch dark. Not many people move around in this area, so they have no need for the light other than on this main road, I suppose. So I think I'm gonna make a turn here. Yep, I'm gonna make a turn here. All for you guys. So this is a 5-speed manual shift car. Pretty common in Europe. We tend to use manual shifted cars in general, although it becomes more common with automatic gearboxes, of course. With today's modern computer aids and stuff like that, you tend to have better fuel economy, I suppose, and it's a lot more comfortable. I know I have been driven manual gear for years, so now we're going to put the full head-on headlights, because here we don't have anything but the road and ourselves. Time is now actually 2:21 a.m. and I am driving in the middle of the night, and we are about to, I thought, meet up with another car, but that was just a sign on the left side of the road. So yeah, imagine this is actually being 10 minutes drive away from where I live, so you don't have to go that very far. And then we had a deer to the right. You can probably see it, but I had a deer wandering around on the field to the right there that we just passed, watching me out or checking me out, wondering what I am doing in the middle of the night, as do probably many of the taxi drivers have faced so far. So to the right here you see a sign, or to the left, but it's pointing to the right, and that's where we had our wedding dinner. So yeah, it isn't much to see here because it is pitch black, and we are actually gonna meet up with another car. This should be interesting because this is a very narrow road, and it's a 30-kilometer limit here. And I think that's equivalent to maybe 15 miles an hour. So we are indeed having to face a very... But it went okay. This is a farm, and to the left we have a bay named after the church, or it's Church Bay in Swedish, Lidingö. Being on Lidingö. I used to paddle kayak there a couple of times. Stockholm is actually consisted of about 100 islands plus. Stockholm also being divided into islands, so you have tons of bridges that you're gonna see later on as we progress. So yeah, this is for you guys. I have somewhat turned around day routines a little bit so that I could provide you with this. Don't want to be sleeping when you do this. So to me it's broad daylight in terms of being fully aware of what's happening, which is probably to the better considering that we are driving a car in the middle of the night on a very dark, narrow road. Other than that, yeah, this is a very small little community, although pretty compact or dense compared to the fact the island itself is pretty big. I'm going to put out a little description probably in a video where I post this for the project that I am currently trying to produce. The name is 4 Seasons of Sweden. And so this is part of it, and the other part is, of course, me being out and doing this video. So yeah, there isn't really that much to see. I'm going to do this in a broad daylight as well, but you get to see the difference between day-night time cycle. So yeah, this is pretty much why I do this. We have some nasty speed bumps here, so we want to take it nice and slow. Plus, we have people sleeping by now. This is a area where you have lots of houses, so we don't want to rev our engine too much here or have the people living here think something suspicious is going on. Speaking of reservates or nature in Sweden in general, we have something called all man's right, and that means that you are free to be anywhere you want in the nature or in the country, except for properties saying something else. Of course, government facilities obviously aren't allowed for anyone. But otherwise, in general, you are free to move around pretty much everywhere you want, as long as you share a common responsibility towards the nature. So you always want to clean up and say if you need to sleep somewhere, you can always borrow someone's bridge along the islands, the 100 plus islands. And so by law you have the right to do that as long as you ask for permit, and the guys are okay with you spending the night by their bridge or pier, sort of. Sorry. As you probably figured out, me trying to speak as I'm driving isn't always that easy. Here we have a stop sign, so we're going to obey the law and completely make it full stop, because that's a huge mistake people do in traffic in general. They don't stop. They think they stop when they slow down, but they don't really stop. And those signs are there for a reason, folks. I mean, think about it. We have a neighborhood where during the days, at least, people or kids are out playing, and they are supposed to be allowed to do so without having the risk of being ran over by cars, thinking they can do whatever they want. Plus we do have a speed limit here as well, about 50 miles an hour, and we're gonna stay at about that speed or lower in this case, just so that you guys get to see. And I hope I have everything charged up. I should have enough battery for this. And I should have plenty of memory recording this video. It'll be a long one, and I might actually shorten it a little bit. I will have to see about that, depending on how long it will be. So, yeah, now we are approaching another community on Lidingö, the island where I live. There's a kindergarten to the right, or to the left, sorry. And we have a local food store or food market to the left after that. To our front we have the local railway, sorry, me and pronunciation. It's actually been updated somewhat. They are replacing the old cars for it, so it's being pretty much modernized. The cars are a little bit wider than the old ones. The old ones are from an era of, I would say, maybe the 60s. So they were pretty narrow and had no capacity really to take the amount of passengers that needed to get on it, I suppose. So now we have pretty much reached the very far end of Lidingö. It's called Gåshaga. It's a pier where they have restaurants, and then they have a hotel there where me and my wife spent our first wedding night. And this is pretty much ahead of us. We are going to make a left turn or a right turn here. This hotel should have some taxis coming back and forth here, I think. And we have the bus coming our way. Either that or it is it's a local bus. So that's what you have to get on. The local bus is the way to get around, unless you have a car like I do. But yeah, like you can see here, we have the track to our right not being operational at the moment. The pier is to our front. And we are making our little tour up the neighborhood here, where we have some local residents coming home from parties, I suppose. Also a very small community here. So we are taking it nice and slow. To our left we have the water. So we are basically following the water clockwise around the island now, due to the fact that we have the church bay that we had prior to this road. To our left we have to go back to the church in order to get over to the other side of this island. So it's been pretty much divided by the bay that's splitting the island north and south. So this is where you want to live, living or having a house here on this island if you're loaded with money and don't have to care too much about that. You have a lot of houses here with their own piers where they have their boats and stuff like that. And then you have the big ferries. You can actually take a ferry from Stockholm. We are going to pass that area later here. But we have the water here to the left and a small boat harbor being here to the left, and then we have the big ferries going about pretty close nearby here to the left over the water. So it's a busy water. And yeah, for the trucks transporting food or whatever, they are also taking the ferry from there. Well, we're actually going to pass the area. It's called Värtahamnen, and from there you can actually go all the way to Letland, Estland, and Litauen, and yeah, you know, those kind of states, the former East states. And you can also go to Germany, Chile, and I suppose Hamburg maybe. Well, don't ask me, you correct me if I'm wrong, but some speed bumps here. We're really not going that fast, so no worries about it. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty long video, so I will probably have to edit some out, but we shall have to see about that. Some more houses to the left, and on the other side, yeah, these are pretty much houses pretty much down by the water to the left. To the left here we have a conference center. There are a lot of conference centers here. I suppose it's a very good location having those because, like I said, it's pretty close to the downtown Stockholm. We are taking a very long detour around the island, but if you're actually going straight to Stockholm itself, it's not more than maybe 15 minutes drive through small roads like these, and then you're in downtown Stockholm. Over here we have a red light. I think that's a track. Yeah, it's a track. If you're wondering what's making the beeping sound, that would be my hearing aids. I do have hearing aids. Pretty much without those, I don't hear anything at all. So thank God for the hearing aids, I would say. It's another little downtown area here in the suburbs. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Some locals being out by the bus stop, or maybe some local volunteer parents being out, making sure that the youth are not making too much of a mess. There aren't really that many places where the young people can go. Of course, there are some recreation centers, but I'm not so sure what they look like and where they are at the current date. Hopefully they have somewhere to go. But by this time it's 2:36 a.m. on the night between a Saturday and a Sunday. I would assume that most younger kids or young adults are sleeping or partying downtown Stockholm. But we're going to see about that when we get there. They are constructing a lot here. These would be, maybe they are going to construct a roundabout here. I'm not so sure though. But we are now approaching the big road, or the main road leading to Stockholm downtown. The red light here indicates that intersection, and now we have someone passing the road in the dark. I'm not so sure you can see that, but we are taking the left. Going to the right, we are going back to where we were at the very far end of Lidingö, at Gåshaga Piers. But now we are on the big road, and it's about 50 kilometers an hour. And I would think that's 40, 45 No, that's not even that. It's 35 miles an hour or something like that, I think. So we do have a lot of wildlife here. So if not for that, you want to be careful, because there are going to be crossings of foxes or rabbits or deers, for that matter. Those are the wildlife we have here in general, amongst birds and other stuff. So yeah, you could expect a lot of those crossing the road by this hour. Now the taxi car. Over here by the tree that's going to divide the road or split the road between the two directions is a common location for police officers to check out if people wear seatbelts or if they have been drinking. We shall see. We probably could end up in a check. Maybe. Not too sure. It's been in the middle of the night, but you never know. They might have a checkpoint somewhere, the police. So, not to worry though. I haven't been drinking for a month. So, and I wouldn't dare sit in a car or behind the wheel, even having a light beer. It's a pretty decent weather. Temperature remains around 11 Celsius degrees. We are now about to cross the track for the local railroad. And now we are on an even bigger road or whatever. Over here to our left we have an industrial area where they used to, I think, harvest or have gas production, I think. Now the taxi car driver. And to our left we have the railway and the industrial area, and then we have a huge suburb area where those who have less money live. It's somewhat we don't actually have what do you call it? Yeah, I'll come up to that later whenever I come up with a word for it. Ghetto, yeah, that's the word. We don't have ghettos, but if you would call anything a ghetto here in Stockholm or in Sweden, that would be it. A lot of immigrants live there, and poor people with less fortunate, sort of, with less money. As you can see now, we are approaching Stockholm, and where you see the car turning to the right there in the roundabout, that's where I live. But we are not going to go there yet. We are going to go to the next cemetery. Hopefully we can be there without anyone wondering what I'm doing. And here it's 45 miles an hour, about, I don't know, it's 70 kilometers an hour. So I would think that's about 45, or maybe, yeah, something like that. 45, 50 miles an hour. No, not 50, but 45, I would say, 40 or 45. Me and conversion, especially when I'm sitting behind the wheel. not a good combination. I mean, that's one thing, you having a conversation with the passenger next to you, but it's a completely different thing in regards to the subject itself. I mean, if you have to do a lot of complicated calculations and math and whatnot, you know, as you drive, that combination is pretty dangerous. Hence why you probably want to keep it to a light subject conversation when using the cell phone with hands-free, because regardless, hands-free is the only way to go if you really have to use the phone, whether you use a headset or a Bluetooth configuration in the car. But I would say that try to keep the conversation to somewhat short and not too complicated, having you to think about over-complicated stuff anyway. So this is the final turn before we head to Stockholm downtown. So if you're not heading the way we are, this would be the last way to get off and not end up in Stockholm. But now we are heading to Stockholm. So from here on, we have no choice. We have to either turn around after the bridge that I showed you earlier. So like I said, this bridge is the only bridge that connects this island to the rest of Stockholm and the rest of Sweden, of course. There are ferries here, but they are pretty local, and I don't think you can get across 24/7 really. But yeah, this is a bridge, the one and only bridge that connects Lidingö to the rest of Stockholm and Sweden. So you can imagine the congestion here in the morning when there's something happening, you know, going on, road work or traffic control or whatever reason, a lot of motorists on the way commuting to the work. It's a pretty hefty congestion. It usually starts over here where the taxi car is, and it goes on all the way down in Stockholm. So like I said, Stockholm is a pretty small town in comparison to most of the other world's larger cities. However, it is a capital in Sweden, and so you can imagine what smaller communities we have in terms of smaller towns and stuff. Sweden isn't that big in terms of urban areas and stuff like that, but it has a lot of landmass. It is actually one of the bigger countries in Europe in terms of landmass, but a lot of those are wastelands, and I would say that you're not even halfway up. If you're in Stockholm, you're not even halfway up to the very northern Sweden. But yeah, so this is the harbor area that I was talking about to our left, where all the big ferries going from Stockholm with the destination to Finland, Helsinki, and whatnot. That you can probably take the ferry. During the summertime, we have a lot of ferries guesting our base in downtown Stockholm, and they have to all approach through these passages to our left. This is actually a construction site. They are now finally making a long tunnel so that truckers can take the tunnels instead of having going through the downtown Stockholm area, and hopefully that will reduce the amount of traffic that we have in the morning and in the rush hour late afternoons. And we'll see, most of the traffic lights have sensors in them, so they should turn green as we approach, depending on whether we face another car and stuff like that. But after this car has passed, it should actually turn green. And there we go. So somewhere around midnight, I think the system switches over to this. Not all traffic lights are being outfitted with sensors, but yeah. Over to our right here we have the Royal Tennis Hall, where most of the Stockholm Open takes place. And then we have the Royal Guard. Their stable for the horses is being to the left here after this intersection. We're keeping a minimum profile here because, I mean, usually you could probably get away with driving like 20 kilometers too fast here. We are doing about 10 kilometers too fast. Hush hush, no reporting, but yeah, the tempo is pretty much where it is. But in general, we don't have that many police officers here, so you could get away with that. So as long as I am surrounded by taxi cars, I should be alright. They pretty much have a good idea about the whereabouts of the cops. So this is, you see the little bridge or the overpass here in front of us? That's where we have the start line for the Stockholm Marathon. That is usually taking place around early spring, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might have to put in the information about that. You can see here on the overhead light that they are swaying a little bit, so we have slight wind. So we're going to take a little tour. It's going to go all the way through Stockholm, and then we're going to go back through Stockholm, but we're going to go back through the smaller streets. So it's a way to get around, to get a more interesting view of Stockholm. There's going to be a little tour that way. That should be pretty interesting. This is one of the main streets. Usually it used to be a very narrow, small street way back in the time. Over here to our right we have a private clinic. If you feel that you want to have a little extra care and attention, yeah, that's a good place to go. But usually we have a free for all system in terms of medical care, so we don't have to pay more than a little gesture fee or so to see the doctor. It's about 30 euros at most, and that's all. And I would say that's thanks to our pretty high taxes, I suppose, that we have that. So yeah, we are going to take a special route downtown Stockholm. Here we have a little park called Humlegården to our left, and we should see some people out either on the way to the next place to party, or they have just, yeah, I would think that back in the days when I was out much, the bars usually close at 4 a.m. Time is now almost 3 a.m., so it's pretty much busy down here. But this is pretty much downtown Stockholm. This is where everyone wants to be. And so that's what we're going to see. Many of these houses are from the 18th century. We did have right after the Second World War, we had a major change in Stockholm. We had a lot of old houses, and at the time people who ran the city decided that they needed to modernize and tear down a lot of houses. So I would suppose or suspect that we have had more houses torn down than many European countries had during the bombing campaigns. And you can imagine how many old houses that got torn down because of that. Which is a shame, but a lot of houses are still preserved, as the one in front of us. I would suppose it is being originated from maybe somewhere in the mid-18th century. Now we have to be a little careful here. We have a lot of drunk people and a lot of taxi cars, and we have a lot of police. There's a police car in front of us. So we need to pay a little extra attention here. Don't want to cost or give them a go ahead to check us out. Yeah, we can actually go here. Let's just do that. It's a line there, but sorry for that, folks. We're just forgetting about. So this is the street we are going up. It has a lot of history. It's also one of the sites where you get to see the historical change of going from left-hand sided traffic to right-hand sided traffic. It's a very special event. It happened during the very early morning in Stockholm in the 60s, and there are a lot of documentary about that transition from left-handed traffic to right-handed traffic. So that's the street that's coming up to our right. It's a pretty busy street right now. Should have a lot of taxi cars in the way and a lot of people. So this is where most nightclubs are, and we have our major cinemas, another police car to the right. And we need to be careful here for when it comes to people trying to cross the road here. So we have a lot of taxi cars trying to pick up some customers. Like this one, just in front of us. Now we have another one making a U-turn. We gotta look out for that. Another police car. So this is pretty much what it looks like a typical Saturday evening or Saturday night in Stockholm. As you can see, it's a pretty busy street. We want to be careful. We don't know about drunk driving here, so yeah, you can see that. That car was taking place pretty much in front of us. So this is the top of the street, or the end of the street. I'm going to drive here during the day so that you get to see the difference. But pretty much here is where you have the big concert hall where all the orchestral work takes place. And then you have the big cinemas behind that. And this is a pretty busy intersection. Two main roads. Considering the amount of traffic we have here, it's not built for this. But this is the way we are going to take. And through the tunnels, as you see, they already prepared for the Christmas lights, and we're going to speed up a little bit to maintain the tempo. Tempo being a little bit excessive over the permitted speeds. We have a car to our right, so let's just have it pass. And now we are going way too fast, but cars being trying to pass us on the right is not okay. Yeah, you can actually by law pass people on the right, but only when the congestions are about. So I would say that that only applies on 50 kilometers an hour roads. But other than that, you should try to avoid it. And right-hand traffic, it's best if you pass on the left side. This is actually 50 kilometers an hour bridge. Keeping an eye out for potential police cars, but I see all I see are taxi car drivers. But this is the central bridge of Stockholm, dividing the city in the northern and southern part. The northern part is where the downtown area is, sort of, and it ends by the building here. And we are actually crossing the water. Like I said, there's a lot of water even in downtown Stockholm. However, the water though is that clean that you could actually go down to it, take a little zip out of it, and not having to worry at all. That's how clean the water is in Stockholm. So now we are actually passing underneath the entire southern part of Stockholm. Time is at the moment 3 a.m. in the morning. We are currently cruising along slightly under the legal limit. Most people here tend to drive a little bit too fast, as you can see. And well, I guess it's night, but still you gotta respect the law. Plus it consumes a little bit more fuel, and we are doing this for amusement or for sightseeing. That taxi car was way out of speed. As you can see, he's doing maybe 50 miles an hour on a 35 miles an hour road. Yeah, I think 35 miles an hour would be somewhere close to 50 kilometers an hour. In general, you could say that we have a 35 miles an hour speed limit for the streets in Stockholm, and it's that or 50 miles an hour, but those are the two general speeds that you have to stick to. I'm driving the wrong way. Almost. See, that's what happens when you try to comment or do commentary while you drive. Especially in this case, I have to think about what to say and make sure that I don't stutter or talk too fast, because I tend to be a little bit sloppy when it comes to pronunciation. So I try to keep it to a decent speed so that you guys can catch up with whatever I have to say about Stockholm. So now we are pretty much close where my sister is living with her family and kids. This is actually the very southern part of the south of Stockholm, called Södern. This is one of the main roads where you also have pretty much dense traffic. A lot of things happens here. So you would say that areas where more things happen than in other areas, this is one of the areas where you have more occasions of shootouts and stuff like that, or robberies, or people being robbed or attacked or whatnot. But in general, Stockholm is a pretty safe city, I would say. You're pretty much okay as long as you're not alone and a very pretty girl, maybe. But I would say that in general, you can move around pretty safely all around Stockholm. And now we are approaching some really old streets. This is where artists and people who have some sort of cultural influence used to live. We are gonna come up to those areas pretty soon here. Again, we have a 50 miles an hour, or maybe 20, I don't know, but somewhere there, limit up this hill. Could be a little bit tricky with manual gear and clutch and stuff in congested time. Yeah, you can see the wobbly lights here. It's pretty windy today. Somewhat warmer than it used to be, considering the days that has gone or been during the week here, but in general, we tend to have this kind of weather. Usually it's, if you think back maybe 10 years or so, there used to be snow by now, but as you all know, it's a lot warmer everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are on this planet, really. So this is a very nice sighting. We are going to actually pass the head office of DICE, the guys behind Battlefield, amongst other titles. But you all know Battlefield. So that's going to be a building here to the right. And we have a car here tailing us really close. Too close. So we're gonna pull over here a little bit and have him pass, because we are here enjoying ourselves, running about at legal limits. So I'm gonna pull over here and have the car passes. Of course, it's a taxi driver. But here to the right we have the DICE office and the Electronic Arts main office as well. So they are pretty much next to each other. Another very busy area of downtown Stockholm. We are now heading back to downtown area. Got to be careful here, because we have a lot of people in motion here during these weekend nights, especially as the weather isn't too crazy. Of course, it's when you have rough winter time and stuff like that, people tend to take the taxi or stay at home or do something else. But in general, considering how mild the weather is now, it's a pretty good thing to be out with friends So yeah, this is the bay in front of us. Unfortunately, we have a taxi that just had to pass us. But this is the bay where most of the ferries that I mentioned stay, or they have to. They can't really dock at the piers here. It's too shallow. But there are some smaller ferries taking people to the land. Over to the right, you could probably see a little bit of the DICE office. It's been the building with a lot of lights. And we need to be careful here, because there could be a lot of course, he had to stop here, having to stress us. We are about to approach the Royal Castle in Stockholm, Sweden. This is the old town, also known for the bloodbath during the 17th century, I think it was, or it was either that or the 16th century, even so. But yeah, you can check it out. The Stockholm bloodbath was taking place here to the left. This is the oldest part of town, of course. Then we have the government's building to the dead center here, pretty much. So this is where you have the downtown area. And to our left, we have our royal castle. So now we are going to head down to the next cemetery, which is the cemetery where my other half grandparents are having their grave. It's on my dad's side. It's been a little longer since they passed away, but since none of them are at home, and they are both, my parents that is, they are both in France and not available or maybe able to attend to this occasion, well, I am kind enough to provide them with this opportunity, putting some lights or lighting some lights on the graves. Here we have, you can't see it now, but we have you're going to see it now. We're going to have a police car crossing this intersection. I hope people pay attention to that. And they don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our friendly police patrolling the Stockholm streets, making sure that everyone are safe. We are now passing the middle part dividing Stockholm, northern part, which is ahead of us here. Some of the apartments, I would say you could probably pay maybe somewhere around a million euro for some of the apartments, plus probably more. I'm not sure. And we are going to take the left here because it's too dark to enjoy the view of this epic view of Strandvägen, as it's called in Sweden. It's Swedish. We are going to take a very busy street here now. And then we're going to go down a street that we didn't take earlier. This is also a very busy street. I'll see if we can cross this area. Sometimes if it's too congested of people going out for the bars, the police is shutting down the street for motorists or other cars. So we'll have to see about that. Some taxi cars not understanding that you can't drive here. Got a lot of those. It's a pretty busy street, as you can see. A lot of people not paying attention to traffic rules, really. A lot of places here are the only places actually that open 24/7. So yeah, that would be about it. This is also to the right here we have the warehouse, being one of the first of its kind in Stockholm, adopting the concept of a warehouse way back in the beginning of the 1900s. So it has old roots. This is also to our right some of the windows for the warehouse. Plus they have their famous Christmas arrangement. And we have a limo. Yeah, we do have them here as well. This is a special place in Stockholm. Usually, it used to be this is pretty much the center heart of Stockholm. But that place that you just saw in front of us used to be a gathering place. It still is. But way back in the days, you could actually, from this area, see the Stockholm Castle or the Royal Castle. And then during the 60s when they, here we have the police. So later in the 60s then they built this cultural buildings or whatever you call it. And when they did that they kind of obscured the view. So what the intention from the beginning was that you are actually being able to see the castle from here. Now it's been obscured by this cultural building, which is a shame. But yeah, like you see, Stockholm in general has a lot of bad decision making, I think, in terms of building ugly buildings that doesn't really match with the general architecture of the city. Given that Stockholm has been around for many years, dating way back to the 1500s. The only time we had our Prime Minister shot and killed was down to our right, so down to our left, I'm sorry, that we just passed. It has been named after him. A lot of taxi cars, taxi drivers pulling over. Well, they shouldn't really do that. This is also a very busy street. Also a street known for the getaway in Stockholm. They used to take place here as well. So it has a lot of history, for better or worse. But this is the main route that you take when you need to get out of Stockholm, taking the highway to the north. This is the way you want to go. So yeah, having set up all these cameras, people probably are able to see them. I have my GPS to the left of me with a suction cup, as in general way. And then I have the iPad to the far right where I can't reach it. Filming this for you guys. It's been tuned down so that it won't emit too bright lights in here. But yeah, that's how I set things up. I don't know what this guy is up to, but I'm gonna have to pass him. A lot of crazy people. I would assume a lot of them are drunk or being on drugs. It's that kind of hour, so I assume the police are pretty busy. And like I said, you always want to pay extra attention, especially these hours. Even if you have a green light, you never know. Given the fact mentioned, drunken drivers being under the influence of drugs, or emergency vehicles having to pass by, don't usually use sirens unless they have to, due to the habitants sleeping at these hours. They don't want to cause too much of a noise. We are now heading outside of Stockholm. The cemetery is the second biggest one in Stockholm, I think. The biggest one is actually similar to this, and it's being located outside of the southern part of Stockholm. This one is being second largest, like I said, and much bigger than the cemetery that I was at prior to this one. So I would say that they have a bit over 1,000 people, probably more, a couple of thousand gravestones there. So we'll see if I can find my way through, whether I take the car over there or if I take a walk. We get to see about that. It's a little bit dark, and we might not want to leave the car all by itself. It depends on what the situation is, what it looks like when we arrive. So we'll have to see about that. So this is back in the days at the 15th century. These were the customs, actually. So they still have the names from that period or from that time. So, yeah, a lot of people are driving. I don't know how they drive, but this Audi in front of us wasn't really sure how to negotiate the intersection there. Not a problem to us. We keep or maintain a good distance to people in front of us, not causing any problems, but a lot of people actually do tend to drive a little too fast. We are still on a 35 miles an hour road, and we are doing 2 kilometers an hour too fast. It's 50 kilometers an hour here. But like I said, a lot of people drive way too fast when it's night, thinking that they're not going to be found by the police or whatever. But I would say you can't really tell from the look in the rear mirrors whether you have a police behind you or not, so it's not worth the risk. Plus you have a lot of unmarked police cars, so I wouldn't bet on the, yeah, you can see the Audi here. It's speeding pretty bad. We are doing now the legal limit of this, and he is doing twice maybe. But yeah, that's how it is in Stockholm. If you are like me in Stockholm for the first time, take it nice and slow. I mean, give everyone a way through the traffic, and don't get too excited about driving fast here. Yeah, you can probably get away with it, but I wouldn't recommend it because they are pretty harsh if you are being caught. The penalties and fees are pretty high in comparison to many other countries, and they are very hard when it comes to the condition of the car, which again is a good indication for them to have your car searched if you're being caught. So I would say that we need to park here somewhere, because the gate is to the right here by this somewhere here we have a taxi car behind us, so we need to get in here somewhere. I would say that we need to make a roundabout over. They have a one-way there, so I couldn't make a right-hand turn into the cemetery. But the cemetery is to our right. We should be pretty alone there. As you can see, it's a pretty low-density area, so we might consider how we approach this. Having a second taxi car behind us, we are gonna pull into the right here and take a little walk. Unfortunately, the rain is about to pour down a little bit, so we're gonna have to see how we're gonna approach this. But I'm gonna make a right-hand turn in here and see if I can find a parking spot somewhere. I'll have to see about these guys, because seriously, this is ridiculous. We could try to park here. You see, there's a parking area there, but it's a pretty far way to go. The distance is pretty hefty for something like this. We cannot. Usually, before you could actually go ahead of us here. There's a stop sign here, so we stopped and we turned. We could see if we can park to the left here at the parking area. I think that we should try to do that. See if we can light some candles and find our way at the cemetery. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. We gotta do that. Alright, folks. I'm sorry, but it's been a little dark at the cemetery. It's a big one. It takes a little while to get to the grave compared to the other place. But yeah, I would say that was worth a visit. Now we have to take care a little bit of getting out of here, because we have some cars passing us. So we need to wait for them, have them another person paying a visit to his beloved ones, thinking the same I do, probably. Now we are heading back to home and ending the video, hopefully without being involved in anything, me fiddling around with the iPad. But nevertheless, we are done with our mission. We have been in 2 cemeteries, and I have actually showed you guys a little bit of the nightlife in Stockholm downtown areas, and nighttime, how nice and quiet it is in the other areas where people should be sleepy by now. Started to rain a little bit there, not too much, nothing really bad. Nice and quiet, very peaceful. Not really seeing why people would be afraid of being on the cemeteries, really. It makes no sense, but nevertheless, it's Halloween. It's been a little bit ruined, I suppose. So, nevertheless, we have been attending both places, and I have made sure that the candles stayed lit, because the wind was actually blowing a little bit there, so I had to go back to the last grave and make sure to light them again. So that's pretty much it. Having that said, we are now approaching Stockholm from the other direction. I'll see which way I'm going to take. Probably going to go the easiest way back. We'll have to see about that. A red light for nothing, but nevertheless a red light. And those we have to stop for. It's not like in most countries where it's actually dangerous to have it stopped by a red light. Paying attention to possible emergency vehicles here. This is a popular ad for ambulances. The last cemetery I attended to is actually being located next to one of the bigger hospitals here in Stockholm. Those taxi drivers are driving a little too fast, I think. Making sure a right lane is clear, even though we have a green light, because we don't want to be in the way for emergency vehicles foremost. That could be very well be out doing their business or jobs or whatever. We are now, I think, if we spot a police car, possibly. Yeah, it's a taxi. But like I said, taxi cars are really dangerous because they kind of block lanes. And like I said, Stockholm is the capital of Sweden, but it's not really built for the traffic amount that it has to date. So taxi cars blocking the lanes doesn't make it any better by a long shot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It is a long video. I am probably going to cut it down a little bit, but hopefully it's good enough for me to have it in full version, and then I might have a shorter version, regardless whether I bring along with the commentary or not. But yeah, we'll have to see about that. This is, like I said, we have been on this street up ahead a bit. there's going to be a left-hand turn, and that's where I mentioned about the Stockholm Marathon starting line. So that's pretty much that big road that I turned to the right earlier, where I told you guys about the private clinic. It's all going to be on the left side here, and that's pretty much where we are at the moment. I'm going to keep the speed limit here because I want to make sure that I get it all on tape, you know, should someone think that they can get away with, like that taxi car driver there. Here we have actually a speed limit of 20 miles an hour. She's thundering down the road even faster than you're allowed to drive, even when it's 35 miles an hour. And I gotta admit, I was driving a little faster too, but not to the extent he was. But given the fact we are pretty much alone on this road, so it's pretty okay. We're just cruising along in the middle of the night. Time is now actually 3:52 a.m. And I would say that most people have been out on bars or nightclubs, stuff like that. They do close by now, and they are heading back in taxi cars, hopefully, because most of them would probably be driving drunk by now, or having some friend picking them up, being kind enough doing that kind of favor in the middle of the night. You know how it is. Same goes everywhere, I suppose. Over here to the right, they are building the new Royal Musical Academy. It has been going on for maybe a year or so. The old building was deteriorated somewhat. Over to our left that we just passed, we had the Stockholm Stadium, the original one. We do not have arenas like in most countries, housing maybe, I don't know, 10,000 people or so. But they are being located out of the city. But now and then we have some occasions or sport events or concerts held outdoor at the Stockholm Stadium that we just passed during summertime, when it's not raining, of course. But then again, you know how it is during the summer. Sometimes it rains, and well, that's a pain in the butt. We are now heading straight down to the tunnel roadside area, or roadwork site area, where the harbor that I mentioned way earlier is. And then we're gonna head up on the Lidingö bridge, back on to our island, away from the Stockholm area, and hopefully have a safe and calm ride all the way back home. Time is now 3:55 a.m. in the morning, night between Saturday and Sunday. A lot of construction cranes here, so you can pretty much tell there's some construction going on here. So underneath us, there's going to be the new tunnel leading the traffic to the areas that I came from, so that the heavier traffic won't have to go through the Stockholm smaller streets areas and congested. That way everyone are happy. Hopefully. But you know how it is. There's always going to be a road construction, and I don't know. Sometimes it's like they have the constructions going on and they go on forever. We are in fact now actually doing a speed of 55 miles an hour about up this bend. This car is really hugging the road if you wanted to, but up ahead of us we have actually a police car. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves. This one is a taxi cab driver, but he knows now that he has a police car there, so he's not overdoing it. But you know how it is. A 999-meter bridge. The only way to get back home. And now we are on the home island of Lidingö. Starting to rain a little bit, but not too much. Nothing too much. It's been okay. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this little tour. It has been a long video. I'm sorry for that, but given the nature of the video, given that it is a tour around Stockholm area and the suburb of Lidingö, the island where I live, of course, makes up for the video time. Then again, it is a long video, so we'll have to see whether I cut it down or make a second version of it being shorter. But regardless, I'm going to have to look through the materials now. Not being particularly tired. And I'll have this video posted in no time. Not a lot of traffic, as you can see. The only traffic out there are, in general, taxi cars and people like me just out driving, and others picking up fellow friends coming from a party or a nightclub or whatever. But yeah. We are about 5 minutes away from home now, and I'm gonna end the video pretty soon here. For those of you who actually live in Stockholm, will probably recognize yourself or familiarize yourself with the surroundings here. Not giving you guys away exactly where I live, but really I am not too worried. Over here we have a car next to the road with hazards fully on. Something going on here. Maybe a flat tire or something. Not sure. Was an old crappy car. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give it a like. And I will be posting other videos. We'll have to see what those videos are going to be all about. But like I said, and it's saying that in my banner, that I do all kinds of videos, not only gaming, not only computer related stuff. So this is going to be for my P0intL3ader75 on the run. And thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.